What's up, everybody? Welcome into The Spread, NESN.com's football picks podcast. I'm NESN.com's Mike Cole, joined, as always, by Andre Kachaturian and Ricky Doyle. Gentlemen, how are we?
Oh, doing great. Best week of the season, week 15. We've been waiting for this week for so long.
15 weeks.
This has become like an ongoing cliche with the show where I take a dump on the game, the slate. It's not... It felt like it was going to be better. Like we were looking ahead 3 weeks ago. This one, as we were going through picking out the games that we're going to do, it was kind of tough. A lot has happened in the last 2 weeks that is really like Patriots Steelers. We're going to talk about that game. That looked a lot better 3 weeks ago.
It's still a great game.
We said that at the time too. Like,
yeah,
we were like, this week kind of sucks, but looking ahead, we got some good slates.
But then a game like Dallas and Indy,
yeah,
the opposite happened.
Yeah, but you still have the Eagles and the Rams this week is a game that we won't talk about, which is crazy. I did a thing for NESN.com earlier before the season started, and I ranked the 18 best games for 2018, and that one it had to have been in the top 5 or 10.
It was a great one last year.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a 9-point spread now. Anyway, this is a spread. We'll make against the spread NFL picks. We're into week 15 here. We'll pick the 3 best games on the board, or what we think the 3 best games are. We got dunked on last week.
Very subjective.
Got dunked on by a commenter last week who said we should have picked the Ravens-Chiefs game. In hindsight,
that was a great game.
That was a great game. So you don't always get them right, but it's easier said than done. We're doing this on Monday and Tuesday, trying to figure it out.
These are good games. Well, I guess Vikings-Seahawks, that was a blowout, but Cowboys-Eagles was good.
Yeah.
And then the other one, I forget what we picked it for.
The other one, I don't think it was great.
It's important to note that the best game this week is Thursday night. So
that's true, and it's tough
we
for
like
us
to keep the shelf life as long as possible when it comes to doing this.
Yep, it's going to look like there's going to be some weather. Yeah, that's a good point. That's why we're not picking Thursday night.
Yes, let's make that abundantly clear that is the best game of the week.
Chiefs Chargers is the best game of the week. We got it. It's also good. The weather looks terrible. The forecast has gotten a little bit better. It was supposed to snow earlier in the week.
See, I hate this game being on Thursday night, though. We talked about this the other day.
The division is on the line.
Yeah, and even if it's the most, this is the most critical Thursday night game I can remember in a while, and it's still not going to feel important when I'm watching it. You watch a Thursday night game, and to me it just feels like of less importance than it would be if it was held on a
Jets Browns.
We're on a Saturday now. We're getting into the Saturday games.
I think this is the last Thursday night game of the season, though, if I'm not mistaken. So that's good. I could be wrong about that, but I'm just seeing the Week 16 look-ahead lines, and there's no Thursday game mentioned, so probably should have looked that up before saying anything, but whatever. All right, let's get into it, but I guess before we do that, let's go back to last week and look at how we did, Andre.
Last week, Ricky, you're on fire. You keep having these 10-5 weeks, and you said, you know what? I'm not going to have a 10-5 week this week. I'm going to have an 11-5 week. Wow, I won 6-10. We had a 5-game switch. So now we're tied at first place with 109 wins. And Mike, you went 8-8. You cracked the 100-win barrier. We're all at 100 wins. So that's something to be happy about with 3 weeks
I tell
left.
you what, I don't want to name names or get too specific, but there's been a lot of talk in market recently about sports betting picks and making NFL picks. I've heard stuff maybe on the radio, airwaves here and there. I don't want to get into specifics, but I gotta say, I don't think we get enough credit in terms of. You look at the numbers, and again, I don't want to toot our own horns, because there was one commenter last.
Nobody else is gonna do it.
A couple weeks ago, yeah, exactly.
Sit there and toot away.
The spread presented by NESN.com. You go back a couple weeks ago, somebody said that he and his wife want to combine 29-3 in the comments. So we're not that good. I don't want to toot our horn too much.
Okay.
But
he and his wife,
Joe Schmo. Yeah. So at least we have something to aspire to.
That marriage is gonna last.
Yeah.
You gotta stick that one out regardless.
They're buying a yacht right now.
Picking winners. Yeah. All right. Let's get into it. We'll do the 3, like I said, the 3 best games of the weekend, and we'll start Sunday afternoon. I believe this is a 1:00 game, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, 1:00. The Dallas Cowboys riding a 5-game winning streak. Head into Indianapolis, take on the Colts. Colts, nice little win for them. They go on the road last week to end the Texans winning streak. Colts now favored by 3 points here. Huge game for both teams. Probably a little bit more so for the Colts than the Cowboys. Colts still kind of kicking alive in the AFC South. Obviously, the win last week helped a lot. As mentioned, Indy giving 3 here. Ricky, why don't you start it off?
Colts are a team, have never really felt good about them at any point this season. Kind of one of those wacky teams. How real is it? But I'm going to take them here. I'm going to lay the 3 points, take them at home. A lot of this, I think the primary reason for this success is obvious in how good of a season Andrew Luck's having, but that run defense, pretty good, especially as the season's gone on, real good in the last few weeks. I just think that they kind of have a formula to maybe slow down that Dallas offense, which very reliant on, controlling the clock, grinding out the game, relying on that defense. I mean, you look at the time of possession against the Eagles, I think it was like 45 minutes to 22 minutes, something like that. I mean, the Eagles really shouldn't have been in that game. I think the Colts still kind of have a formula to maybe keep them off the field. Good team on third downs as well. So, I just think that if they can carry out a few long, methodical drives at home, maybe disrupt this formula sort of that the Cowboys have discovered in the last 5 weeks, as you mentioned. So I'm going to lay the points and take the home team.
I agree with everything you said. The Colts have a great running defense, and it's the logic has it that they'll slow down Zeke, force Dak to throw the ball a lot, and the Colts will win at home. But you know who else has a great run defense? The Saints. And they weren't able to do anything to Zeke. Zeke still was able to run the ball, control the tempo of the game. Dak Prescott used that to his advantage, and the Cowboys won. Granted, this game's in Indianapolis, but the Colts wins have come against the Bills, Raiders, Jags, Titans, Dolphins. That Texans win was impressive, but it beat a lot of cupcake opponents. Dallas defense is really strong. I think they're going to put some pressure on Andrew Luck, and Andrew Luck has the second most pass attempts in the NFL right now. I could see a high volume game for Andrew Luck where Dallas controls the clock using Zeke, and they're getting 3.5 points at the end of the day too. So I'll take the Cowboys. I think there's a lot of value in this pick for Dallas.
I'm gonna take the Colts too. The Cowboys. I mean, you talk about. The Cowboys do have some better wins than the Colts do, but the Cowboys haven't played a whole lot of teams recently either.
They beat the Saints
on a Thursday night at home. Yeah,
feels very
7 days rest in between. Both teams play Thanksgiving.
Fine. That game to me is such an aberration on the NFL schedule as a whole.
I'm not trying to completely discount it, but again, you look at the schedule has been favorable for them recently too. 3 straight home games. They haven't had to play on the road since November 18th. Cool. I can't even remember. Who remembers what happened?
That's a lot of sleep in your own bed.
Yeah.
That's good.
November 18th. They're a much different team on the road than they are at home, as most teams are. 6-1 at home, 2-4 on the road.
But they've won their last 2 road games. At Atlanta, at Philly.
It's impressive. In the 5-game winning streak, they've covered in all 5. But I'm with Ricky in terms of the run game. It comes down to that for me. I think that the Colts will do a pretty good job of slowing down Zeke. I think it's not necessarily the Colts defense that I'm especially high on. It's the fact that Dallas might be without offensive guard Zach Martin, who's really one of the best interior offensive linemen in the entire NFL. He's got a knee injury. It looks like he's going to be okay long term, but I would be surprised if they push it with him this week. So you kind of take that away from the Cowboys, you got a pretty good chance of winning. When Dallas rushes for at least 100 yards, they're 7-1 this season. When they don't, they're 1-4. I also think you look at what Dallas is going through. I mentioned this is their first road game in more almost a month. Also the fact that they played a rivalry game last week within the division, went into overtime. That game took up almost the entire overtime period. Now you got to travel on top of that.
Indianapolis played a rivalry game that was a 3-point decision against Houston on the road. That takes a lot out of you too, right?
You had a chance to give your reasons.
I know, but I'm just countering your reasons. Coach did the same thing.
No, they didn't.
They played the Texans. It's a rivalry game.
Yeah, okay, fine. Then you should have mentioned that when you were talking to him if it's such a big deal.
It's not that big of a deal.
Jesus Christ, what do we do here? This is what we do.
We lay out different
rivalry. I go third. I have
sports.
I've got 6 different things. What do you want me to say?
I like his count. That was funny.
Colts and Texans.
Jesus
Christ. Throw out the record books and they clash.
This is the first time you've actually gotten mad at me this whole year.
Because it's poor professional.
I know, but it was like 15 weeks. I'm proud of myself.
Professional courtesy.
15 weeks it took. 15 weeks. That's good.
Jesus
I've improved.
So I'll take the Colts, lay the points here. 51%. This is like 50-50 split with the bets. Total's at 47. I don't really like anything there. Maybe the under, I guess. I don't know. The Colts, like Ricky said, the Colts are kind of tough nuts to crack.
It's impossible.
I will say this. The Cowboys were 3.5-point dogs this morning, and now they're only 2.5-point dogs.
I was ready to bury the Colts, too, especially after last week, if they had lost that game.
I don't know. Even just that, like, the Cowboys, that offense,
so also
very Zeke reliant.
The Cowboys
tries to give games.
Yeah, and that's
like this.
I was actually going to make that point before he derailed me. Like, you go back and watch those games, it hasn't been completely impressive. Also, like, look at last week. What they have, like 580 yards of offense, and
But
that's the thing. Leaving points on the board is going to be huge in this one. Yeah. If they can't finish in the red zone, especially, which is where the Colts have been pretty good in the red zone this year. I think they're number 7 in red zone scoring, number 3 at home. So I mean, if they're able to finish their drives and Dallas is settling for these field goals, and it just seems like there's so many instances this season where the Cowboys have something going, and all of a sudden Dak gets wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage, and it's just like you're waiting for the ball to get slapped out of his hand. I mean, he basically single-handedly kept the Eagles.
But that's why I just think the Zeke thing. He'll run the ball, kill the clock.
Well,
Marlon Mack is
Zach Martin injury comes in though.
He's probable to play.
I mean, he's been banged up all season, so there's a chance that he doesn't make it out of the first quarter. I mean, he's been dealing with the same thing all year.
I think Zeke's going to do a lot in that first quarter, though, when he is there.
Also, I don't know whether
I'd
be interested to see if Dallas has anybody who can stop T.Y. Hilton. Outside Jalen Ramsey, he's been able to do that over the last 4 games. No. Hilton's got 556 yards over his last 4 games, 199 last week, 77 the week before. That was a Jacksonville game, 125 and 155 in his last.
You say the same about Amari Cooper.
And you mentioned the pressure on Andrew Luck. The Colts have only surrendered 16 sacks this year. The Saints are the only team that have surrendered fewer. So, I don't know. If Dallas can't get that pass rush that they've had over the past few weeks, it's going to be much more difficult for that secondary to hold its own. Because I still think it's exploitable. I mean, if there's one way you can beat the Dallas defense, I think it is through the air. So.
Well, except for apparently unless you're the Saints. Yep. But all right.
The Falcons.
That game, that Saints game was so weird. The Thursday night, I don't know. I just had a
Leighton Vander Esch, man, he's a good player.
I'm not denying that.
Playing at home, man, it's nice.
Yeah.
All right. Late Sunday afternoon. This is again the game that we mentioned earlier. It's supposed to be a lot better than it's shaping up to be, but the Patriots go on the road to take on the Steelers. This actually is a huge game for the Steelers, not so much for the Patriots. The Steelers are looking at a potential where if they lose this week, which is very possible, and they lose next week, they go to New Orleans, they could be looking at missing the playoffs if Baltimore takes care of business. So a lot's at stake for the Steelers here. That being said, this game kind of has been all over the place. I think it opened actually with the Steelers laying a point. Then it got bet down to the Patriots laying 1. In some places, it's a 2.5. We're going to play it at 3. The Patriots favored by 3 here on the road because I think that's the way it's going to continue to move. The line going up a little bit. I don't know. Who knows? We get all of our lines from oddshark.com. Shout out to Oddshark as always. They don't have it listed yet, but we've kind of had to dig around. So we're going to go with the Patriots laying 3 here on the road. Road favorites coming off a heartbreaking loss last week. Andre, what do you see with this one?
I'm going to take the Patriots as road favorites. The Steelers running game.
Ben Roethlisberger, by the way, I should mention his rib injury. Probably going to play, but he's banged
probably going to play. He's always banged up. The Steelers running game has just been very non-existent the last month or so. James Conner, he started off so well. Everyone's like, oh, they don't need Le'Veon Bell. And then he hasn't had a 100-yard game.
Well, he hasn't played.
And he didn't play. No, that's what I'm saying. Well, he's also banged up. They have Stephen Ridley getting carries now.
Tomlin.
So it's like, that's never a good thing.
Brandon Bolden
last week.
Revenge game. Yeah, no, true. But I don't think that'll happen again this week. Patriots are upset after that loss. They usually bounce back well after a loss. Steelers usually bounce back well after losses, but they haven't been bouncing back well at all. So what happened to my notes here? My laptop just went crazy. Oh, Steelers, terrible in terms of turnover differential. They're 27th. New England is 10th. I can see Roethlisberger being banged up, being forced to throw a 10 because the Steelers don't establish a running game. Patriots force some turnovers, and they win the game. It's a big game for them. You say this game isn't that exciting. I think it's big because it's like you mentioned. Steelers might not make the playoffs.
No, I think it's big for the Steelers. I think we all, as recently as 3 weeks ago, even 2 weeks ago, come into this game saying, especially with the Patriots losing last week, it's like this game's gonna be for first or second seed. Now it still means a lot to the Steelers, and it's not as much to the Patriots.
It's definitely more difficult to figure out.
Yeah, that's true too.
I like the Steelers in this one. I like them to win outright.
Wow.
A lot of it, the road problems for the Patriots, which have been obvious.
Yeah, I mentioned that last week. Go on. Sorry, I'll pull it up. The numbers are crazy.
Well, it's 16th in yards per play on the road, 27th in opponents' yards per play when they're on the road. So a negative yards per play differential, just not what you're accustomed to seeing from a Patriots offense. But it's just several areas where I just think Pittsburgh has such a strong advantage. The Patriots lack a pass rush. That's becoming an issue, and it's especially problematic on the road. For the most part, the Steelers protect the quarterback well. Best pass blocking grade in the NFL, according to Pro Football Focus. I also have concerns about the Patriots secondary beyond Stephon Gilmore. Like, we've seen what the Steelers' weapons can do. I'm not sure Jason McCourty's going to be able to keep up with a Juju Smith-Schuster or Antonio Brown, however they sort of figure this out. And just the Steelers' ability to fluster Tom Brady. I mean, we've seen at times when he gets in you get in his head a little bit. Steelers #1 in sacks and sack percentage, #6 against the run. So I think this is going to be a tough game on the road, tough environment. And I know what the track record says that the Patriots have, historically had the Steelers number here, so I'm going against the trends a little bit.
Before you give your pick, I'm going to change my pick. I agree with you.
I'm so close to doing the same.
This is very good.
No, it's not even that.
I'm going with the Steelers. I'm changing my pick.
Like I can't figure out why to pick the Patriots aside from the trends and just the
other thing is
banking on them not performing after a loss, not losing.
Yeah, no, you're right.
The other thing is too is Tom Brady's hurt. Like, he's legitimately hurt. I think if you look at it, he doesn't look as good in the pocket as he usually does. I don't know if he's overcompensating with the pain in his knee or whatever it is, and that's making him make boneheaded plays, taking that sack. But even worse than that was him overthrowing, I think it was Hogan in the back of the end zone. That would have been a huge touchdown. He doesn't look right. And then that whole, the video of him falling over like he got taken out with a sniper. There's a lot going against them. All that being said, I'll go out on the limb here and take the Patriots, I guess, to beat the Steelers. Let me pull up my notes here. It's just, it's tough to go against them, but or it's tough to go with them right now. I just looked it up, Ricky. By the way, they are. Let's see here. They've been outscored by 27 on the road in 6 road games this year, which doesn't. It's not a lot, but
no. But I mean, for
them,
yeah. In context.
But yeah, I'm still
especially the teams that are responsible for that. I mean, you get blown out by the Titans. You're laying against the Lions, Jaguars. Like, what are we doing?
This is the best team they've played on the road. Yeah. But whatever. They've won 4 straight against Pittsburgh. They're 3-0-1 against the spread in those 4 games. They're 16-4 against the spread after a loss over the last 5 years. That's the best in the NFL. They've lost, let's see. Oh, this is an interesting stat, just kind of what we were just talking about. This is from RJ Bell. The Patriots have lost 4 of the last 6 games when favored by 6 points or more on the road, which is wild. Before that, they were 37-2 straight up in those games. So that's a weird trend. All of that being said, they are 6-1 straight up and against the spread as road favorites of 6 or less since the start of 2016. So, in these tighter spots, they usually find a way to get it done. You talk about the Roethlisberger injury. I think that's a big deal. If he can't move or doesn't feel as comfortable, the Patriots, we saw last week how many 4 sacks against the Dolphins. They've done a pretty good job of getting to the quarterback. If you can put pressure on him with Trey Flowers and all those guys, dial up some exotic things, kind of confuse Ben a little
bit.
He's gonna give it away. I also thought it was interesting too. I saw this on the Action Network. This is kind of going back to the spread. Roethlisberger's worth about 5 to 6 points to the spread, so that's something to kind of keep in mind. I think he's going to play, obviously.
He banged up.
But
they would have won last week if he didn't go out for a period.
It's true.
Yeah.
Were we all on the Raiders last week?
Yeah. No, I know. I was
Steelers. Yeah, you went 6-10 last week.
Yeah, it was bad. But hey, the reason why I changed my pick, Ricky, you're talking about trends. Ricky's, what are you, 30-10 in the last 4 weeks or,
that's a good point,
2 weeks?
Yeah.
I don't know.
A peak, though. You're gonna want to get out now.
I think that's the biggest thing. Just listen to Ricky right now.
It's got to go quick.
Remember there's a part of the season, all your locks, you just keep missing your locks.
Yeah.
You're probably still up.
I don't know if that's changed at all.
He's losing 5 games a week. It's in there somewhere. All right, let's go to Monday night. The Saints go to Carolina and take on the Panthers. The Saints, man.
This is another game that could have been really good if the Panthers hadn't lost 5 in a row.
Yeah, that's a good point. Saints 6.5-point road favorites at Carolina. The Panthers can't get out of their own way. Panthers still one of 8 teams that have a chance of getting that the second wild card in the NFC, but they have to win this game if they're going to have that happen. These 2 teams play twice in the next 3 weeks, so there's something to keep in mind there as well.
Right.
But as I said, Saints 6.5-point favorites on Monday night in Charlotte. Andre, who do you like here?
Oh, wow, throwing at me. All right, I'll take the Panthers. 6.5-point underdogs at home. They're a really good home team. They're 1-6 on the road. I mean, they've lost 5 in a row, but 4 of those 5 losses have been on the road, and their only other loss at home was against the Seahawks, and that was that game when they had a big lead and they blew it against a really good team in the Seahawks, who are very hot right now. Cam Newton at home, 10 touchdowns, 3 picks. He's only taken 7 sacks. You give him time to throw, he's going to be accurate. 70% completion percentage at home. And Carolina, overall, even with all these road losses, they have a decent yards per play differential. They're 12th. The Saints are 9th. I do think the Saints win outright, but I think Carolina has the ability to keep this one close. Drew Brees, 3 picks in the last 3 games.
They didn't look right for a half in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, they I thought they were
weird
going to lose
weather,
that one.
but
I don't know if Cam Newton can throw the ball down the field.
That's an issue.
And that's a problem. He didn't throw on Wednesday or Thursday last week, and it's like 7 weeks in a row he's up to where he skipped a day throwing. And I don't know, that can catch up to you a little bit when it comes to game preparation. He's looked hurt. I mean, it's pretty, it's common knowledge at this point that he's got some sort of issue going on with his shoulder. Coming off, you could argue, his 2 worst performances this season. He's missing key throws too, like down the stretch, late game situations where he needs to make a throw, not making them. When you get the Saints run defense that Andre, you mentioned when we were talking about the Colts, how they've been really at the top of the league in several categories against the run this season. It's going to come down to a point where the Panthers are going to have to make a throw, and I don't trust them to do it. I mean, they're in a free fall right now, 0-5 straight up and against the spread since week 10. The Saints, I mean, the last 2 weeks have been a little bit of some hiccups there, but they're still 10-3 against the spread, best in the NFL. So I think this is a good opportunity for them to sort of get back on track, be that team they were a few weeks ago before that whole Dallas situation.
I'm going to take the Panthers. I think Saints looked a little vulnerable lately, obviously with the loss in Dallas, which we've mentioned quite a few times today. They didn't look great last week, and you kind of look at a lot of rain in Tampa Bay last week. The grass was terrible, but they're playing on grass this week, and they're playing in the cold. It's going to be the mid-30s in Charlotte on Monday night. Going back to 2006, that's when Brees took over. The Saints, when the temperature is 40 or below at kickoff, 4-7, just 3-3 since 2010. It's their 3rd straight road game coming up this week. There's a lot kind of going against them, and you kind of look at, they haven't been terrible the last couple of weeks, but they've shown some defensive liabilities against mobile quarterbacks. They had Dak Prescott, who really kind of tore them up a couple of weeks ago on that Thursday night game, and Dak also had 7 carries for 40 yards. Last week, Jameis Winston had a terrible game otherwise, but he did throw 2 touchdowns, and he also ran the ball 5 times for 47 yards. So maybe Cam is able to extend a couple drives with his legs. Maybe it's on 3rd down, something like that. Maybe it kind of just
goal line situation.
Yeah, a few chunk plays here and there. You're just looking for what? 6 to 9 points there to kind of keep it. Like, those points go a long way when it comes to a 6.5 point spread.
Do you think they win?
No, I think the Saints win. Yeah, but I think they keep it close.
And the Panthers, their last 4 losses were all by 1 score, so they keep games close.
Cam Newton, total QBR and throws of 20-plus yards this year. I just saw this earlier. 17.7. So for comparison, he was at 87.4 and 92.2 in his first 2 seasons, and 94 during his MVP season.
Yeah, this might have to be
Christian McCaffrey
Superman game.
Yeah, which he's had plenty of.
Yeah, wouldn't bet against him. And I tell you what, the Saints know firsthand how good he can look. You go back to that playoff game last year, that big touchdown. So I think, right? I didn't just make that up, did I?
Was this Fozzie Whitaker? Might have been Fozzie Whitaker.
What's he doing this year? I haven't heard his name in the fantasy realm, so
I think he's on the IR actually.
He had a 56-yard touchdown.
Cameron Artis.
Was it Fozzie or?
No, Christian McCaffrey. 56-yard
Fozzie Whitaker had a touchdown in the playoffs a few years ago.
Great, good. All right, let's do locks and upsets. Ricky, what's your lock?
Lock, I'm going to take we're doing a Saturday night here.
Hey!
The Broncos, 3-point favorites over the Browns in Denver. Seems like a little bit of an overreaction to the Browns winning 3 of 4 against, for the most part, inferior opponents, Falcons, Bengals, and the aforementioned Panthers. And also the Broncos losing to the 49ers on the road last week. But you take a step back, the Browns still not a very good team defensively, especially against the run, and just not a good tackling team as well. So I think the Broncos are able to do a little more offensively this week by relying on their running game. It was, Broncos defense was a little bit better in the second half last week too. Once they decided they wanted to tackle George Kittle.
No kidding.
For the most part, in the first half, they didn't want to do that. Broncos also have a history of success against the Browns. 11-0 straight up and 9-2 against the spread in their last 11 against Cleveland.
Browns 1-4 on the road with Baker Mayfield as their quarterback. They only win at Cincinnati, so that doesn't really count.
Volatile team. Prone to make some mistakes here and there in Denver.
Tough place to play. Saturday night. Yeah. Saturday night. Ask the Patriots what happens on Saturday nights in Denver. So go ahead.
I'm taking Rams over Eagles, 9-point favorites. LA's third in turnover differential. Philadelphia's 23rd. Dallas put up 576 total yards against Philadelphia last week, and they only scored 29 points because they turned the ball over a few times, this and that. LA's not going to do that. The Rams are going to finish those drives. They're going to score touchdowns, and they might put up that secondary is bad, and the Rams are just going to rip them apart. Again, they got Todd Gurley. He's going to run the ball the same way Zeke ran the ball, keep the ball safe, capitalize on chances. I think they win by 30 points in this game. Philly's defense allows 6.1 yards per play. That's top 5 worst. Bottom 5, I guess.
I would like to thank Jared Goff for completely laying an egg in that game, though.
Yeah, okay. Jeez.
Helped in our picks. It helped me in the fantasy.
Chicago is a good defense.
They are. Speaking of Chicago's defense, I'm going to take them. I'm going to take them to cover 5.5 points against the Packers, effectively ending Green Bay's season. Packers did look good, a little bit of a bounce back last week at home against Atlanta. Much different story going on the road to take on that pass rush. Biggest issue for the Packers too, and I think that there is a little bit of the Packers being in the Bears' head, but I don't think it's going to matter this week. You look at the Packers' offensive line. I think literally everybody on their offensive line, save for maybe the center, is nicked up. They're hurt. The offensive line is hurt.
They're ailing.
They are limping. So I think they the Bears pin their ears back and take advantage. Aaron Rodgers, be on the lookout, dude. Head on a swivel this week. Andre, upsets.
I'm going to go to the Thursday night game. I know we don't like to talk about it, but there's always one commenter that says, hey, it's Thursday. I'm trying to figure out.
Well, if they made it this far, God bless them.
No, I'll be on the little thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Chargers over Chiefs. 3.5-point underdogs. The weather is going to be bad in Kansas City. And you know what? The Chiefs have beat the Chargers in 9 consecutive games. This is a time where it's going to change. The Chargers are the best Chargers team we've seen maybe ever in our lifetimes, at least. The best team Phillip Rivers has had, definitely. And, I know Melvin Gordon's banged up and Austin Eckler's banged up. Neither of them might play. The Chiefs do allow 5.1 rushing yards per play, which means this might be a nice Justin Jackson week for the Chargers. I don't care who's in that backfield for the LA Chargers. They're going to get some yards. And Pat Mahomes, 11 interceptions in his last 9 games. Teams are figuring him out. Chargers don't turn the ball over, only 10 giveaways. Rivers, no picks in the last 3 games. There's a lot of trends that point towards the Chargers, except for that 9-game losing streak. But I think that ends.
I'll take the Raiders 3-point underdogs over the Bengals in a game I will not be watching, and I suspect a lot of people will be not tuning in either. So it's
this should have been the Thursday night game.
It's less of an opportunity to call me out on it if I get it wrong. So I'll stay off the grid with this pick a little bit. I'm just not comfortable with the Bengals laying points against anybody right now. Yeah. Loses a 5 in a row, 3 by at least 14 points. And meanwhile, for the Raiders, Derek Carr actually played pretty well last couple weeks against the Steelers and the Chiefs. 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. That Bengals defense can't stop a nosebleed, as they say. So even though they're at home in this one, I would not feel comfortable taking them in the least.
Mike, finish it up.
I'll take the Titans. They are 2.5-point underdogs at the New York Giants. If I get the Giants and the Titans, wow. I don't really have a reason for this.
Physically imposing.
I had to pick one. I don't know. The Giants getting a lot of credit right now, but it's just, do you really want to lay points with Eli Manning? I don't know. Saquon Barkley, obviously a freak, but they get the Giants get Odell Beckham back this week, or they should. That's almost a bad thing. Like the offense has looked better without Odell Beckham out there, which is a weird thing to say, but the results speak for themselves. So I'll take the Titans, I guess. Why not?
Titans are so weird this
They
year.
are. Yeah, that's true.
I hate.
I think I probably got every
games
Titans
much.
game wrong this week.
I hate laying points with the Giants though. Like so badly. I'm glad I didn't, but almost took the Redskins last week, just based on the fact that I just hate giving away points when it comes to the Giants. They're so all over the place.
They're
the Titans very boring.
They're such a boring team to watch.
They should be better.
Mediocre.
Okay.
Long pause.
That's the perfect way to describe the Titans. Yeah. There's one long pause.
And then, well, all right. But one of the
that is the epitome of that football team.
One of the teams to beat the Patriots this year, so that speaks to our point even more. All right, that's the spread. NESN.com Football Picks podcast. Thanks for joining us. We'll do it again next week, I guess. Maybe. Yeah. We got one more week.
One more week. Yeah.
Christmas is looming. So we'll be back again next week. Go to NESN.com/odds to see all of our picks Thursday morning. See you guys.